Hey there, for today's Wellness Wednesday video, I want to talk about workplace bullying. A good friend of mine came to me to ask this question given her situation at her workplace and the fact that she's uncomfortable there, and she's so uncomfortable to the point now where she'd like to quit, move on to another role, and she's so incredibly talented and such a valued asset at the company that she works for, but given the toxic atmosphere at the company and how she's being treated, and from her perspective unfairly treated, and to the degree of the acceptance of bullying in that company culture, she is at the point now where she just wants to leave. And so we were talking about it, and I did some Googling on the topic, and there's so many great resources out there. I know what bullying is like. I've experienced bullying. A number of my friends, acquaintances, etc. have also experienced bullying. So if you feel like you are a victim of bullying, there is help. There are ways out of the situation that are healthy alternatives. You don't have to feel stuck and forced to accept the treatment that you're receiving. I really just want to put that out there. I came across an article which I thought was really helpful on US News, and the article is entitled 5 Steps for Handling a Workplace Bully, and it notes that everyone deserves a safe, comfortable work environment, and I'll link it below. The first tip is to evaluate the situation. You really want to consider, well, what's really going on here? Is a particular individual in your workplace specifically targeting you? Are they treating everyone that way? It's very easy, for example, to be in a situation and assume it's really just about you and that you're being unfairly treated and so forth. But with the bigger picture and really evaluating, assessing what's really going on, it might help give you more clarity and not automatically feel like a victim in the situation. If it is in fact a bullying situation, you do want to stand up for yourself. Now, that doesn't mean fight back and do a tit for tat exchange, like deliver back what they're giving to you. I highly discourage that in any situation, whether it's school or work or so forth. But given the fact that I'm specifically talking about the workplace, I'd like to narrow the situation that I'm talking to. There are various reasons why you don't want to respond in the exact same way that they are behaving towards you. You do want to respond in a polite way, and I've noticed that this works. If they're acting aggressively, rude, etc. towards you, it does throw a lot of bullies off when you respond in a cool, calm, and collected manner. One of the last things you want to do in a workplace is to respond in the same way, and perhaps people perceive the situation as you being the antagonist or making the situation worse. To some degree, people may expect you to take the higher road, and it does reflect well on you professionally when you choose to opt for the higher road as opposed to engaging in a tit for tat with your bully. But don't feel the need to cower and to shrink into a corner. You can be strong and polite and respond in a level-headed manner. A great next step too is to document the situation. I think this is an excellent tip. I am an attorney by trade, so whenever I see someone recommend documenting something, I'm like, yes. And of course, this isn't legal advice, but I do think that overall, in general, documenting the situation when you feel like you're being bullied in a workplace situation is a great idea, even just for your own records. So you actually have a log, a journal of exactly what's going on. And in the future, if you do need to reference that information, you don't have to go through your mind and try to remember everything. You do have a record of what happened on what dates, etc. The next step is to consider going to a manager, to HR, to explain what's going on. And that's where having documentation really goes in your favor, as opposed to sitting there and having to remember all of these events, situations where you felt uncomfortable, different situations that happened. It's a lot easier to present a record, your journal of events, and to be able to speak to that document as well. Your manager or HR is then in a position where they can try to resolve a situation. The situation may not be resolved in a way that makes you more comfortable, but at least that is a potential recommended next step in order to see if you can mitigate the bullying atmosphere, the toxic environment that you are working in on a day-to-day basis. Your company probably, or at least should be, aware of the legal ramifications of what's going on, so you being able to document and speak to what's going on and reporting it is absolutely key. And the last tip in the article, which I think is an excellent tip, is to move on. If the bullying is unchecked and it continues or gets worse, what have you, because the last thing that you want to do is be in a situation where you feel uncomfortable. It's taking a toll on your mental, emotional health. It's impacting your ability to do your job, and you just feel so disrespected, and it's a chore, it's a drag to go to work every single day. No one deserves that kind of environment. You deserve to be treated with respect respect, and you deserve a healthy, safe workplace to report to on a day-to-day basis. And you want your talent to shine, and you want to be happy in your job. You don't want to feel like you have to be on edge. No one is chaining you to your desk, to your chair, to that company. And if someone is saying, well, you should stay there for this reason or that reason, just ignore the bullying, it'll go away, and they kind of minimize that impact. Really, you have to look out for yourself first. You have to look out for your mental health first. So move on. There are so many other great companies out there, other places that are not so toxic, in fact, not toxic at all. So just keep in mind that the world is bigger than the company that you're working for, and that there is another company out there that if by chance that situation happened, the company would be able to effectively resolve the bullying situation, or the company doesn't really have that climate to begin with, and you can do your job without having to interact with that kind of employee. So when all is said and done, take your skills elsewhere if you have to, and you'll feel so much better from making that decision. So yeah, that's my Wellness Wednesday. I have more videos on the way, so stay tuned.